Welcome to the project. In this video, I'll take you through an overview of the process for how I created my LED wall-mounted channel logo. To start, I created an STL file of my logo in Fusion 360. From there, I went to Cura where I could convert the file to G-code from my 3D printer. I decided to print the logo in separate parts and piece it together after so the finished product would be larger. Each bolt took around 5 hours to complete. I had a few failed prints where the front face was not as clean as I wanted, but eventually I was able to get 3 bolts that turned out good. Next I went to pick out a piece of wood from my scrap pile that would be for the back frame. I had to prepare the wood by cutting it into a 12 by 12 inch square. Then I sanded it down on the faces and edges. I used a router to chamfer the edges to a 45-degree angle. I decided to do this to give the frame a softer and more polished look. I went with an indigo blue for the paint color. However, I jumped too soon into getting the frame painted because I hadn't finished preparing the wood for the electronics yet. After aligning the power port on the Arduino where I wanted them, I used an oscillating tool to carve a slot in the back of the frame. I attempted to drill a hole like a key slot hole at the top for hanging it. It ended up working out fine, but next time I think I would rather use a little metal D-ring or a sawtooth picture hanger. Now I took some time to align the bolts where I wanted them to be glued. I just used some of the failed prints here so I wouldn't get the actual ones dirty in the process. At this point, I just needed to mark their outline so I could make holes to wire the LEDs. I grabbed whatever drill bit size that I found worked to fit the wiring through, and I drilled the holes. After a quick cleanup, it was time to finish repainting both sides. While that was drying, I coded the ESP8266 module and connected it to the Blink app for controlling the LEDs. The specific LEDs I used are called WS2812B, which are individually addressable. I use these LEDs often since they are simple to program animations for with the help of the FastLED library. Once all the coding was done and uploaded, I cut all the wires I would need to length. Then, I prepared to put the Arduino in place. At this point, I realized I made a mistake in how I measured the slot in the wood, so I had to chisel more wood out. With that, the Arduino could be hot glued into place. I cut the LEDs to strips of 10 lights and stuck them to where I previously marked it. Soldering came next to join the LEDs together and back to the Arduino. I used a multimeter to ensure that I had made good connections and verify there were no shorts. I'm really glad I did that because I found out that I had incorrectly marked the polarity of the cable that went to the DC power port. I would have certainly damaged the Arduino if I had plugged it in without checking. Now that the multimeter test passed, I'm ready to plug it in. And there's the startup sequence. That means I can hang it on the wall and enjoy my completed project. If you want to see a demonstration of all the animations I added to it, check out my previous video. I've got more Arduino LED projects coming soon, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss those videos. Thanks for watching.